Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Dororo, episodes 7 and 8. Yeah, it's been too long since we got to Dororo, and so that's why we're doing two episodes today. Um, Also, I think one of the reasons why I've put off Dororo for uh, what's it been, like 2 or 3 weeks now, is because of the last things we saw. It was hard to watch, you know? This series has gotten really heavy and intense and upsetting, to say the least. And it's just the way we left off with the last episodes were just, it kind of left this really depressed feeling in the pit of my stomach. And it's been hard to find the motivation to get back into the series because of that. And I'm not saying it's bad. It was anything but bad. In fact, the episodes were fantastically handled and really well done in terms of their storytelling, in terms of the emotional impact. I mean, obviously the emotional impact. But at the same time, it's like, even despite how praiseworthy they were, it still hurt. It was still very hard to watch that. And so it left me unmotivated to continue. But at the same time, it wasn't like this, it wasn't like I was thinking of dropping this at any point. I never thought of dropping this because it's like that never crossed my mind because it's still so damn good. But I was just so down by what had happened that I guess you could kind of say I needed a break from it. I needed some time off. And I feel like I'm not exactly ready to get back into it, especially with how this week has been for my emotional state. But I'm going to, because I don't want to put it off any longer, especially with One Piece week, as I announced on the channel today as well, happening not next week but the week after. I don't want to keep putting Dororo off and then like just not getting to it again, because one, it's a donation reward, and I want to make sure that I continue to get to the donation reward stuff. There are a few shows following this that I still need to get to, both new and stuff that I need to get to second seasons of and all. Um, and the series is like, I think like 26 episodes or something, 24, 26, somewhere in that range. So it's like there's still quite a bit to go. We're not even halfway through. So it's like there's just so much more to get through, and it's like, and it's not that I can't see where this would go that much further. I very much can see this going further. I'm just wondering exactly where it's going to go and how depressing it's going to get. Because one, we still have to see Hyakkimaru gain all of his senses and body parts back that were taken from the demons at his birth, thanks to his greedy, insufferable father. Oh, and fun fact about that, I just thought of something. I recently saw a list of like the most unforgivable people in anime, and Hyakkimaru's father was one of them. And there were multiple people on the list I didn't even know, of course, from shows I haven't seen or whatnot. But like that was definitely one of them. There was also like Shao Tucker from Full Metal Alchemist slash Brotherhood, and just people like that. And it's like people who are just so fucking horrible and disgusting that they're willing to sacrifice their loved ones in horrible ways for their own selfish pursuits. And it's like, yeah, that's fun. It's fun to think about, fun to see a list like that. um, but in all seriousness, yeah, it's just I can see this series going so far, even beyond just him gaining back his body parts, because we know at some point he's got to reunite with I guess you could call him his kind of adopted father in a way, the prosthetics maker. I can't remember his name right now. But you also know there is going to be confrontation with his younger brother, who is training to kind of be a warrior in the same vein as his father and stuff. You know they're going to meet at some point. You know Hyakkimaru is going to meet with his father at some point. You know that things are going to collide in that way, and probably his mother too, honestly. Um, there's a character in the opening. Actually, I think a couple characters in the opening we still haven't even seen and met. So there's that. There's a lot that can be gone into. There really is. So it's like, yeah, I expect quite a bit of interesting stuff going forward. I'm also a little afraid because it's like that those last episodes hit so hard, and it's just I I'm not okay. Afraid is maybe the wrong word. I'm not afraid of being scared, or not scared of being depressed by shows or stuff. I actually welcome it because I feel like if a show can actually make me feel that heavily for characters, it's doing its job right. um, but at the same time, I don't like feeling depressed. I don't like feeling sad. So it's like, even though I welcome shows doing that and making me grow attached to characters that deeply to where it does affect me that hard, and while I acknowledge how excellent the writing and storytelling and characterizations and developments beyond all of that is, I, to a degree, don't want to experience that pain and sorrow. You get what I'm saying? That's all I'm trying to say with that. um, but yeah, I have no idea where this series is actually going. Um, I have seen a couple little things from the, I guess, original manga, like just a little couple. What would you call them? Like scans, I guess you could say. They're very minimal and don't tell me anything, mind you, but like the style was so much different. Um, I don't know. It almost looked like Astro Boy, and I'm wondering if it's the same creator. I'm legitimately kind of wondering that because the style very much kind of reminded me of that. And maybe one of you can tell me if it's the same creator as Astro Boy, but it very much kind of reminded me of that. I know Astro Boy either way probably came way, way before because Astro Boy is really old, but still. Um, and obviously, I've never seen the original anime in any way. Which was it an OVA or was it a full series? I don't remember. But either way, I'm very interested to see where this series goes. I don't really know any spoilers, so please, no spoilers. I am very invested in not being spoiled on this series. Um, but yeah, we're gonna kind of just get to this and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So it's kind of funny. I was so cautious about continuing for a while because of how the last set of episodes were so sad and everything. And these two episodes just happened to have very happy, positive endings. Which, I mean, fair enough after what just happened and everything in the episodes before these two. Yeah, you're going to want to balance that out and make sure that you have a little bit of levity and happiness in there as well. But it's like I was putting it off for so long because of how sad and depressing those episodes were, and now we're back into the happy stuff. But still having cool action, still having moments of sorrow and just all kinds of emotions. It's not just like, oh, happy-go-lucky, friendly, everything's awesome. No, like there's still like legitimate emotion and depth to these episodes. The first episode was something that I really do want to see return, and I think was just something really interesting and a great idea to integrate into this series, because this series, a lot of it has to do with killing these demons and everything. So when we see this spider demon um, fall in love with a human and actually like want to protect him and save him and help him and just generally love him, and him reciprocate those feelings towards her, it's really touching and beautiful. And again, just with the context of this series, it matters. I love it when a show like this, anything like this, can show that not all of these enemies, not all of these evil monsters and stuff are evil monsters. That some of them can be good people if they're given the chance and opportunities. Obviously, it's not always going to be that way. And most of the demons we encounter in the series going forward are still going to be evil and need to be killed. This centipede demon we saw in the second of these two episodes is a big example of that. But just once in a while to see that one of these demons, or maybe a couple more coming forward, are going to be, or at least have the ability to become good. I love that. I just love the concept of that. It shows that things are not so black and white. And we see plenty of times in this series that humans can be just as bad as the demons. So it's like you see kind of that side of things from both. And I love that. I really think that's a valuable thing to show. That there's good and bad in everything. That nothing is always just entirely black or white. So yeah. On top of that, the way they did the romance for being a one episode thing, I thought was paced well. She didn't fall in love with him right away. In fact, she originally went with him for the purpose of taking his life force to heal herself. But then we see that he starts treating her like she's never been treated by a human before. He starts treating her like a person, like someone worthy of love. Hell, even after it's revealed that she's a literal monster, he still treats her with love and civility and humanity. And that's why she goes so hard to defend him. That's why she gets so upset and scared when he gets shot by the arrows in the shoulder and all. Because she had truly fallen for him, because he treated her like a person, and it mattered to her. Hell, even just seeing him let the bug, the cockroach, go instead of killing it. The way he gave her the food and cared for her and tried to just nurture her back to health. Everything he did showed just this genuine humanity and love. And it changed her. And as you saw in the end, Hyakkimaru saw her color was changing, her aura was changing. It didn't completely change, which I actually think was a better idea than having it do so, which is what I thought was going to happen, that eventually her color would completely change. But no, it just was gradual. It was orange and was starting to show like signs of green. Um, and I like that because it showed that she still had a darker, violent bit of nature to her, but it was changing, that she was growing more, well, for lack of a better word, human. And we also find out that she doesn't even kill people as well. Funny enough, that she only drains them of their life force to a degree where they can still heal and can still basically be farmed. um, it kind of reminds me of that one Ethan Hawke vampire movie. I I talked about it with a friend just the other day too, and I can't remember what it's called now. Actually, that was a week ago now. Holy shit! Yeah, that was last week when we talked about that. Holy shit! This week has just completely thrown me off. Also the sun. Holy shit. But yeah, I think it was called Daybreakers or something. Also had Willem Dafoe in it. But yeah, in that movie, the vampires would like they had like this underground chamber where they kept humans alive to farm them of their blood, and it kind of reminds me of that here. Except she's not like it's not as organized. It's just that she doesn't kill the people so that they can return to health and everything, so she can absorb their life force again. Um, it's not as complex as that movie was. Jeez. Um, I'm trying to avoid. It's because the with the leaves falling off the tree and everything, the sun is shining through like the gaps a lot heavier. So it's like, yeah. Anyways, as I was saying, um, it was a really nice touch to add to this series, and again, I think that counts for any kind of show that does this kind of stuff. Obviously, there's going to be exceptions. Like in Ruby, you don't expect to see any of the Grimm end up being proven to be a good guy. Like, no. The closest thing you'll see to that is like Weiss using her what or Winter, I guess. Weiss and Winter using their summons, but even so, those aren't actual Grimm at that point. They're just kind of how would you word it? Not illusions, but they're manifestations of aura in the shape and form of Grimm. Really, they're not actual Grimm. The actual Grimm are literally mindless, soulless murder machines. Like that is literally their point. But even with that, it's like you can see multiple of the actual like members of like Salem's Lot and everything. They even like Emerald, for example, has been shown to have some reservations about things. And so it's like you can see that not everyone, even on the bad guy's side, there are entirely bad. So it's really interesting to see that. God, that sun is just like really bad right now. But then we get to the second episode here, and this one was very reminiscent of those two episodes that made me so depressed and sad, because it's like we have this young kid, this young orphan kid, and this kind of big sister figure to him. Obviously, the circumstances are different, and it's only one kid this time instead of multiple. But yeah, it's like in this one they survive, and it feels much happier than before, and I feel like it's almost a good balance to that other one. But I'm also glad that it wasn't like the episode directly after those. We had a little breather in between as well. So in that one, obviously, Saru is this homeless orphan who lives in the mountains, kind of fending for himself, hunting and gathering his food and everything. And the humans of the village look down on him and treat him like an animal, really. Like they don't even treat him like a person. Like, and there's really no reason given for it. It's just like they just treat him like shit for no reason, just because he's a homeless kid who lives in the mountains. He didn't do anything to them. But because of it, he grew to hate other humans, and uh, just kind of stayed to himself until he met his big sis. She was the only person who was nice to him. She helped nurse his swollen ankle to health, and they became really close. Um, So when she was going to be sacrificed by the village in order to appease this giant centipede demon, he wouldn't take it, even though she had chosen to do it herself. So he teams up with Dororo and Hyakkimaru to fight the centipede demon. There's some troubles along the way, but they manage to defeat it using some really, really fucking clever tactics. Like, seriously, I mentioned in the reaction, the tactics they used in this episode were really fucking clever. Um, from using the kind of echolocational skills with Hyakimaru because of the entire cloud of red and everything around him due to the centipede monster's mist. Um, he couldn't see properly, so he had to use sound and everything. To them using alluring the centipede demon into a fire trap, and even though the fire and explosion itself didn't really do enough, it still created an updraft, causing the wind to blow away the mist. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is so fucking clever, and I loved it. Um, and I mentioned as well that I really like how they have been handling Hyakimaru's voice. Since getting it back, all we've heard him do is scream. He's just, the sun is like just annoying me. Sorry about that. Sorry about the lighting. But all we've heard him do is scream. All we've heard him do is like cry out, like not even saying anything, just screaming. Um, so and I like that because naturally he's not just going to be able to talk. I mean, he just got his hearing back. He doesn't even fully know what speech is. He doesn't even know like what words mean and everything. So he's been having to learn that. I assume Dororo's probably been teaching him off camera, off screen. Um, he's probably been learning and all, but at the same time, he also learns through experience. He's learning by listening to what people are saying, by reading their lips and everything, and just using context clues to be able to tell what words mean. Which is why at the end of this episode, when he said Dororo's name, referring to him, he knew at that point that this kid is Dororo. Because all the context clues and everything fit to that. And he's learning. He's learning. And it's weird to think about because it's like this guy's like, I think it was like 15 years old or something. Um, and he's just now learning speech because of, well, he had no way of knowing speech beforehand. All he could do was sense people's auras and shit, and kind of read their lips by touch, but not really because he didn't have a sense of feeling until recently either. So it's like it's just it's weird how he's gone on for all of these years without having any senses at all, except for his kind of sixth sense in regards to his ability to kind of tell where things are based on aura. Um, just the ability to just generally sense things. um, so it's really wild to think about. It's really interesting. Obviously, there's going to be some issues with that all. Like, obviously, it's like you got to wonder, like, okay, so how would he know what certain motions meant? Like, for example, in the first episode, the kid starts falling down the hill. He goes to rescue him. How does he know that the kid falling like that is the kid being in danger? How does he know? At that point, he hadn't gotten back any of his senses, so he should have no way to know what that means. Because he was like that from pretty much birth almost. So he should have no sense of knowledge to what that means. So it's like, how would he know to save him there? We have no sense of context for that. So it's like, yeah, there's going to obviously be things that don't make sense, and that probably never will. Because with a kind of story like this, there's going to be things that are just that would never obviously make sense or work or have any kind of logical reasoning to them. But I mean, it's a story that has a lot of demons running around and everything, so it's like especially demons like this and everything. And the main character, I mean, survived with what was taken from him and everything. So it's like you're already going to have to suspend you're going to have a suspension of belief a bit there. Um, or suspend your disbelief rather, or whatever the term is. You know what I'm talking about. Um, you're just gonna kind of have to accept certain things, but there's also certain things it's like that also feel like okay, they are integrating some realism in here. Like again, like I mentioned, that's why I mentioned the entire thing with him learning to speak. It's taking time. He's had his voice back for quite a bit now, but it's still taking time for him to actually speak. It took quite a few episodes for him to even say anything other than, again, just screaming. And it's probably going to take quite a bit more for him to actually form real sentences. Like, in fact, his speech will probably be very broken for a while. It'll probably just be very much like he'll just say words kind of jumbled together. But that over time, it'll grow into actual recognizable patterns of speech. You know what I'm saying? And I really like that because it's like even despite having to suspend your disbelief a bit, even despite having to just accept that some things are not going to make sense and everything, there's some things that it's like okay, I like that they're at least doing something with this. You know, that's all I'm saying. Um, but yeah, I think the fact that the woman survived, the big sis survived in the second episode was a little bit unbelievable. I mean, yeah, it swallowed her whole and everything, and I guess that's okay. Like, obviously, when Hyakkimaru jumped into its mouth, obviously he was going to cut his way out, but it's like the fact that she survived is a little bit of an ass pull, just a little bit. But hey, we needed something. After those two episodes, we needed a couple episodes that were just again ended on a good note. With the first of these two, with the spider lady and her new lover getting away, and now with this one, um, with the boy and his big sis surviving, it's like yeah, we needed that. So I'm not complaining, but it is kind of a little bit unbelievable that she would have survived that. Um, but yeah, yeah. Going forward, it's going to be interesting to see what else we get with a lot of these different concepts and ideas, with the demons and everything being able to show a propensity for good, with Hyakimaru's growing vocabulary, you could put it, all of this stuff. Um, but it's really good. It's really entertaining, and on top of that, it's just really well written to where it's like each episode almost kind of feels like its own thing, unless it's like a two-parter, obviously. But for the most part, it seems like these separate stories that are just like interconnected in the fact that it's the same characters, and almost every time Hyakimaru gains something back, there's an interconnected story that's kind of being told in the background with the father and the brother and everything. But that's not going to come into play yet. So we're still waiting on that. Right now, it's still very, very much episodic. Honestly, it is. But it also doesn't feel as episodic as other shows. Like, there's so many other shows out there that just feel so much more like episodic in the fact, in the idea that they don't necessarily matter. Like, a lot of shows have that episodic nature where it's like, okay, this episode doesn't matter in the long run. Nothing's going to come of it. It's just this fun little adventure, fun little slice of life thing, or whatever. It's not going to actually make a difference. But it feels like everything they do in the series makes a difference. Everything matters. Whether it matters to the characters' emotional states, whether it matters to obviously giving Hyakimaru more parts of his body back, um, or just how they impact the world and the ideas and concepts that this show is bringing to us. Everything, even though it's very clearly like we're not going to see that kid and his big sis again. That's not going to come back. but we're going to see the effects that they laid on Dororo and Hyakkimaru. We're going to see how this experience affected our main characters and the overall story and handling of the series. That's what good writing is all about, not just, telling an interconnected story every episode, but you have to make it feel like it's interconnected even when it might not be. That's great. I love that. So, yeah, I'm really glad I got back into this. It took a while, and I apologize for those who have been waiting for this. I apologize for all of you who have been wanting me to get to more of this, who have been asking about it. Just remember, if it's still shown on the channel banner, I'm still reacting to it. I change the channel banner as quickly as possible whenever I change shows. So if you're wondering if a show is still being reacted to, just check the channel banner. Um, the only exceptions to that might be like a day or so in between when I finish a series and put up the new banner. That's pretty much it. um, but yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and tell me what you thought of these two episodes down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie, and once again, sorry for the light, but I'm signing off. See y'all next time.